Hey everybody, welcome back to another phone call with freedom. I am your host, Sarah Jane. Thanks for showing up in my corner of the world where we talk the universe. Today we're talking about meditation. It's a really fun subject. It's a popular subject. I get asked a lot, what is meditation? So in today's episode, I wanted to break that apart and play with that a little bit and share my perspective, because meditation has truly changed my life. It's affected me internally, externally, and my whole experience in general has enlightened through understanding what meditation is, which is actually very simplistic. Now, of course, as with all my work, always take what feels good, take what resonates, take what makes sense to you, but leave what doesn't. All right, continue your journey exploring and asking questions. But this is my perspective of what I think meditation is. The starting point would be that meditation is visualization. It's allowing yourself to visualize. That can be very uncomfortable for a lot of us because through societal conditioning, we have been taught to stay out of your mind. We've all heard it. The best stuff happens when your eyes are open. Or snap back to reality. Come on, hard work's the only way you're going to get there. Open your eyes. Right? These are all statements that we have told each other through this collective belief that the most important place to be during this existence is eyes open in your 3D reality. We have neglected to talk about the importance of allowing yourself to visualize. For meditation, there's different levels. In other words, when I first started meditating, I didn't know what it was. So I had to go within in order to figure this out. I had heard other people, quiet the mind, close the eyes, but I still couldn't quite understand that. Like, okay, I get that. I can quiet the mind. I could take a deep breath. But through asking myself what meditation was, I discovered a different definition that I really like. I enjoy meditation thoroughly. I do believe that there are different levels. So when I first started meditating, it started with a small, I'm not even kidding, maybe 10, 15 seconds of me visualizing. I close my eyes. Really think about 15 seconds. For the first time ever really going within my mind, I closed my eyes and I saw myself on a beach, walking on the beach. And I tried to get as detailed as I could, looking down, feel the sand in my toes, feel the sun on my face, hear the water, hear the birds. So about 15 seconds in, and then I broke it. I opened my eyes and I was in the present moment. I was like, okay, all right, well, that was interesting though. And for that 15 seconds, I was on the beach and I really enjoyed it. So even that 15 seconds, when I opened my eyes, I was like, oh, I feel better. I really like that. So that was how meditation started for me, was just through small, short visuals. And then I started getting better. And what I realized was every time I went in to take a moment to visualize myself in a higher vibration than what I was experiencing, I got better. Every time I did it, I got better. My meditations and my visuals started getting longer, and they started becoming more expansive. At the same time, I was entertaining the idea of a higher self. Like, okay, I don't even know what that looks like. Again, all these theories that I'm communicating with myself about to try to find the answer. What does the higher self look like to me? So at the same time, I'm visualizing, I'm building this relationship with another world, another version of myself in another world, familiarizing myself with what that connection looks like, because it's more vivid in my mind. So as my visuals started getting stronger, I started moving into more intense visuals. Eventually, I hit a level where now I would close my eyes and I would see light coming in through the bottom of my feet, through my body, connecting me to universal energy. And then I would kind of have this out-of-body experience. And next thing you know, I'm on this huge lawn in front of this huge building, but the building is so inviting and beautiful, and I'm walking in and there's colors and energies and people that are there to love you, to guide you, and it's kind of like a class. And so then I would go from classroom to classroom and I would have these wild tests. Well, what I started realizing was my higher self was using my meditations and my visuals to decondition and deprogram my mind. So I would have to face fears. There was one meditation, and I will do a full episode on the details of some of my meditations because they are very interesting. There was this one meditation after my father had crossed over. And of course, okay, here's the wild thing. This is what meditation will do. If you can start when you're not having tons of problems, you're just trying to balance life, and you start with these little visuals. And then when you have a traumatic event happen, this is where you're comfortable enough with your mind because you've been working with it. It's really going to come in to help you. But you have to be willing to do the work because it is deep, intense work. So I was learning about the higher self. I'm learning about meditation and I'm educating myself on this. All the answers are coming from within. So as you can imagine, I'm like, I don't know what's right or wrong. I'm just trying to figure out what works for me. My father crosses over, and the first time I went to meditate, since he had crossed over, of course, I saw him. And I pretty much immediately opened my eyes and I felt the energy wall up inside of me. And I knew in that moment I had to let it go. You have to let it go. It's toxic energy coming out of the body. So I started crying. And at that point, I had only held the visual for a second, but it was as soon as I saw his face. And then the next day I tried again. And it's like, okay, this time I was sitting on a park bench and I could see him walking toward me. And as he's walking toward me, of course, again, it all balls up. And I felt the energy coming up and I let it move. I set my intention. If you haven't checked out that podcast episode, I highly recommend you do. I set my intention, sent the energy out of my field. And at that point, I realized either my higher self or my dad or however this is working, somebody's working with me to clear my energy field. On another perspective, it was me working with my visuals to clear my energy field. So whatever perspective you want to have on that. Every time got a little bit better. Finally, I got to a point where I understood he was on the other side of the veil. This was going to be our new relationship and things were going to be changing from here. I knew I still wanted to be in contact with my dad. I wanted to figure out how that relationship was going to look. At the same time, I had lost 2 other very close friends of mine. So they had also helped me through the healing process and the visual process to understand, okay, when somebody leaves this plane, they go back to that plane. How do we continue to communicate? Because now they have another language, right? They're not here. It's not like they're speaking Spanish or English. They're in a whole nother realm. Their language, the way they do things, see things, it's different from this world. So how do I connect? And visualization took me there. This is what I consider to be meditation. When I come out of visualizing, sometimes I'm feeling empowered. I'm like, holy shit, I'm ready to go. We're gonna knock this day out. Like I'm expecting miracles. Let's align to it. Other times I come out of it and I'm exhausted because I had a trigger and I've been crying the whole time. It just depends. But at the end of the day, I come out of every visual and every meditation another person, a better person every time. It's just about allowing yourself to go into these spaces. Some of the problem is that the minds have been conditioned through society to believe and see things from a very particular perspective, all of us. So to close our eyes, a lot of times naturally the mind will depictate something negative, something bad that happened that day, or something that's going on. This is a mechanism that was conditioned into the mind to keep us out of the mind. You have to understand that your mind is programmable. So it doesn't matter where you start. You could start at 3 seconds. You close your eyes, see yourself in the middle of a field with a bunch of flowers around you. Open your eyes. All right, but that's going to affect you. And if you stick to it and stay committed, then your visuals are going to get better and better and better. And what's happening is you're building a relationship with yourself. What those visuals ultimately end up looking like is going to be unique to you. You're working with your higher self. Your higher self understands the conscious platform that you're on. They're going to give you visuals that you can understand. But some of them are going to be fearful sometimes. Like that one when my dad started showing up. I mean, I was like, what is going on? And then I realized, holy smokes, they're helping me to clean my energy field. So that's what visuals and meditation is going to do for you. It's going to help you to get into those spaces. But it is a process. You have to trust being there before you can even go into any type of work within yourself, really. So the objective in the beginning is just to allow yourself to feel comfortable in your own mind. When you haven't been conditioned to be comfortable there, it can be a very uncomfortable space to be. So that's the beginning of meditation. That's my recommendation. A lot of people will sit when they meditate, and it really, again, it depends on what level of meditation you're at. For me, I like to be limp. I like the body to be limp. I'm out of body when I meditate now. Now, you have to understand, I've been doing this for 7 years consciously, studying this, studying energy, rewiring my subconscious mind. But for me now, at the levels that I'm at and the levels that you get to, if you decide to embark on learning how to meditate, eventually you get to a point where you're just out. You're gone. You're doing your thing. You're protected. You're loved. You're watched over. But you're kind of in a sleeping mode. The body, for me, has to be limp so that I can focus elsewhere, because it's me projecting my mind into different spaces. I need all the energy that I can get when I'm learning about this stuff. So for me, I like my body to be completely limp. But when I first started, it started with just sitting there for a second, closing my eyes. But it quickly moved into this idea of I need to lay down. Now, of course, sometimes you fall asleep, but it really depends on your intention. If you're really present and visualizing in your mind, then you won't fall asleep. The body will, but the mind won't. There are other times where you do fall asleep, and it's just you needed a nap, You're on the other side of the veil either way. The difference is just that one you consciously remember, and one you don't. My meditations have expanded now to well over an hour. Depends, though. I still have very short meditations. Depends on what my day is or what my mood is. I'm still deconditioning my mind just like everybody else. So I have to consciously pull myself to do these activities. There are certain times where I'm like, I know I should meditate this morning. I'm like, I'll get to it, And so everybody's kind of in the same boat right now. It's just about conditioning the mind to make these types of routines habit for all of us, because they have such immense benefits to the internal and external realities. Why would we not? Collectively, it would be silly not to entertain the idea of building structures where we can come together and feel safe enough to go within ourselves, within our minds. I truly do believe that we're in a state of evolution, and a new way of doing things is becoming readily available. There are thousands of us that are aware that there is something much bigger unfolding here. I'm excited to be understanding this work. A, because it's changed my life. And so I like to put it out there and share my energy, share my findings, because I think that if it changes my life on a science platform, I would imagine it would change other people's lives. You don't have to be some crazy, wild spiritual guru. You just have to know the basics. And understanding the role that visualization will play in your life is imperative. On a bigger scale, it's not even about what you're visualizing. It's about your ability to go within your mind, to build a relationship with yourself, to trust yourself enough to visualize, to hear yourself, to feel yourself, to be with yourself on an eyes closed level. You're never going to be with yourself as close as you are when your eyes are closed. It's imperative. It really is. I highly recommend, if you've lost a loved one, start with small visuals. Understand that it will trigger up an emotional process. Set your intention. The reason I'm doing this is because I want to heal. The reason I'm visualizing them is because I want to heal. Direct the energy out of your field. And then close your eyes and visualize that loved one. If you can only do 5 seconds, then that's fine. That's plenty. The fact that you showed up to the table is all anybody's looking for. See that person. And keep doing it until you get to a point where when you see them, you're no longer bawling your eyes out, but you're excited. You're excited to see them. That's what ended up happening with my father. I showed up to the table over and over and over and over again, and every time I got a little bit better. I had a little bit more clarity. I had a little bit more acceptance, understanding. This was where he is now. And this is how we're going to be connecting. If I want to continue having a relationship with him, this is what it's going to look like, and I need to explore it. Now, of course, in the higher realms, you have a different personality than you do down here. You're a different person. Who you are down here, you're just playing a role. It's a small fragment of your soul. In the higher realms, you're dealing with the higher self. The higher self is that version of you that has all the pieces, has all the fragments put together. That's why you can't remember certain things. It's designed like that. It's by design, to be separated, to see if we could find our way back, to see what we would believe about ourselves. Can we do the deeper work? Can we build the connection and relationship with self? That's the key question. And that's a difficult question when you've been conditioned to live outside of that space. So I can guarantee you, if you're here at this time, it's because you are the best of the best. Thank you for being here during this transition, not just from me, but from your higher self and from all the beautiful energies that are sitting at the edge of their seats, looking at Earth, watching us go through this wild, crazy transition. It's just a wild time to be alive. I absolutely love it. It's totally incredible. So definitely, I highly recommend start with small visuals and work your way up. That to me is what meditation is. It's quieting the mind. It's being able to build a relationship with yourself within your mind, really. What do you visualize? Allowing yourself to visualize, trusting what you're visualizing, facing any fears that come up in those visualizations, right? Remember, you're safe. You're here. You're just playing with your mind at that point, which is important because we are all undergoing a rewiring process at this time. So if you want to speed up the process, I highly recommend visualizing, allowing your higher self to work with you through these visuals and eliminating any lower vibrations that you can through these visuals. It is going to absolutely change your life. It's so wild. I love it. I wouldn't change it for the world. I absolutely love it. Speaking of loving it, thank you so much for loving and supporting me while I love and support you. I sincerely appreciate you being here. If you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe button, and also hop over to my website at innersarah, INNERSARAH.com. You can subscribe that way so that you get notified when my book comes out. Make sure that you make it a great rest of your week. I will see you guys on Monday for a read with SJ. If you haven't checked that out, make sure you do. We always have some fun over there. And then, of course, I will see you guys right back here next Wednesday for another phone call with Freedom.